Yeah, I'm not a captain, so by trade I'm a naval architect. But I wanted to come here to the PYA today with a bit of a different angle, and it was more of a technical aspect. And hopefully with what you take in, you can take back and give feedback to the institutions who set up the training. So Malta, over the last decade or so, has grown very much as a flag. We've been developing our own code, and like many administrations, there's actually many codes with many interpretations. There's many similarities, and I think this also brings some confusion in the crew and officers' operations of such vessels. And there is an aim, or there is a hope on the horizon that one day this will all be streamlined together, but as anything, these things do take time, and in the interim, people like Ajit with the MCA take a very proactive approach to it, but many times we also clash in our opinions. And so I just wanted to keep it light. We can always discuss later, have more questions, more specific questions. A very quick overview, but we've taken our code, the Yachting code, every 5 years you could say we issue a new edition, but we've also noticed that we're not keeping up with the changes that happen. Changes are fast, digitalization is a very big issue. We are, especially down in the engine room, we're finding many new developments which are going in every other direction. And that's also, for example, down to the builders themselves who are opting for different propulsion systems, powering systems. And it's going to be very challenging to see how we're going to train our engineers of the future on this. I'm just going through these slides with just pretty pictures, to be honest. We do get various challenges. So we do get things like racing yachts. We've got the training yachts, so we're still very much promoting it as much as possible because we do believe a lot in them, so we do support them. But many times also our regulations and requirements don't help us support this kind of vessels, so we specifically target them in our code. And yeah, historical yachts, we all like them, we have to keep. But yeah, going back to historical yachts, there's a lack of trade and maintenance. There's no one riveting ships. So there's all these gaps with trades besides people on board. We use the code to support the super yacht industry. So we're very much in touch with owners, managers. We recently, Malta works with a system of government surveyors, so we get a very lot of valuable feedback from them on the trends especially, or what they keep finding, and more still with exponential issues which require immediate reaction. The attractiveness of our code is its flexibility. We do believe in flexibility, we do listen. We've spent the last 24 hours in constant discussion with every person presenting something because their products, in our opinion, are all valid. And we see potential in all of them. The problem is we do get conflict. Earlier I was talking to Ajit, and we also agreed that operations of Aegis went from one maker to the next. It's a whole new experience. It's confusing, if you ask me, from the other person who likes standardization. That's talking as an engineer. As a yacht code, we do tackle these issues. We go into helicopter operations. You know, it's all nice in super yachts to have helipads. But when you compare the level of how we handle helicopters on the super yacht industry, and we compare it to the offshore industry, there is a very big difference. You know, HLO officers. And at some point, we all need to tackle it head on and admit that this needs to be looked at, this needs to be done. But we also need to do it without hurting the industry. We want to help the industry, we want to make people more proficient in their operation. And that also involves not overloading the current officers on board. So we're very hesitant to changes that are going to overload captains, or Western, what we call captain managers in the office, are already overloaded. They are also trying to deal with clients on board, or owners on board. They're very overloaded. And we need to find ways to make their life easier. And that has been our, let's say, strategy starting from this year, is that we want to improve the quality on board without sacrificing the work-life balance. That's very important. In doing that, we keep throwing more regulations, which is actually the opposite of what I just said. So this has been identified. It's so easy to just add another chapter at the end, which is what we've been doing over the last few years. We've identified these issues, and we are planning to revisit the whole code in a more practical sense. We're working very closely with builders who are actually deciding how this vessel in the future is going to be operated. And builders have different agendas. So many times it's what we call a volume-based design. For them, the minimum, which is typical of these codes, for them that's the maximum, which is surely not the spirit of safety at sea. But it has become a reality where the codes have become the minimum requirement. Just walking around in the dock, I saw 24-meter yachts, like 23.98, 199 gross tonnage. This is really pushing the envelope of design. But on such a vessel, it ends up falling under the recreational craft directive. Just to give an idea, manning on such vessels is 2 persons. So it's a big boat, and we say, yeah, that's fine. So the designer, the builder, were very smart. They managed to find that loophole. But diligence, there's more to it, and this is something we as a authority cannot always enforce, but they're satisfying our regulations. And we also expect the management out there, the crew, to be better crew, to actually understand their operations, where they're going, what they're doing. I'm still new at this, so have patience with me. I tend to talk very fast. But yeah, so we do listen, we understand. For example, we introduce static chartering to our guideline. We're big promoters of it. But many times we also find that incorrect stability is applied. They don't understand their responsibility, even though we're going for a static charter. It's not just, okay, I've got 200 people on board. Am I satisfying the prescribed conditions? These are things which are overlooked over and over again. It's without adding another, we're trying to find this magic formula which is going to integrate everything, keep our yachties well informed. But at the same time, as I keep saying, I don't want to overload them with information, because all of us know what happens. We stop listening, we stop learning. So it's very important to get that way. We are moving to, we're always challenged as an administration. We want to, like you said, party out a tanker outside. So we want, so we've also listened, and yes, we're happy because boats can't take it. There's good. So we're happy to do it. That's, we also, it's a bit of a give and take also. We need the stakeholders, the operators, to do their part in diligently following up requirements or even good seamanship. As a flag, we noticed there was a need for a passenger yacht code, which is stating super yachts is limited to 12 passengers. The new trend we're seeing, the amount of builders approaching us, the amount of contracts being placed, is that people want contracts. So everything is good. So we're hitting now 36 passengers, technically, let's say, convention vessels, SOLAS compliant. But again, structures like the SOLAS, below that convention, they're not really designed for the super yacht, to cater for the super yacht. So our approach with our passenger yacht has been to give equivalence whilst understanding the operation of a passenger ship. And our lessons learned from commercial yachts. It's a very interesting approach. We do actually indirectly continue supporting the service requirements by giving equivalence also back to those requirements where it makes logical sense, and it actually applies to our yachts. It's a unique approach, but as I said, it works, and it's actually a growing trend. We see it coming. We're expecting many more, and the challenge is very much on you guys also fill in this new market that is evolving, and it's evolving faster than we expected. We, as I mentioned earlier, we have a 5-year. Our yacht code is issued every 5 years. We've recently, especially through flag state inspections and talking to the officers and crews of vessels, we've noticed that we needed to dedicate commercial yachting specified with commercial yachts. Where earlier we used to mix everything together with our convention. Oil tankers and bulk carriers, we finally got it out. And we're listening. Now people are not saying we're showing too many. But we're trying to catch up. That's it. Crew qualifications, I'm really going to keep it brief because I think I just really went into it already, but we recognize main international non-STCW. It's we have a list. We are actually planning on publishing it out. So now you could say it was limited to the agents and our government surveyors, but we're going more open, more transparent, so even you as, let's say, crewing managers understand what you're taking on or not when you're approaching crew. We do have, especially during the summer, we've had many issues with, especially with port state control, doing a non-conventional vessel, or let's say below 500 tons, they get lost. They expect air vents to be up 760, they expect everything to be like on a normal ship. And crew qualifications is none the other than the market. We've had quite a few detentions based on just them not understanding what the requirements are, what's accepted, safe manning of. So we've been very open. We're even going to certain countries to give them training on what to expect when the yachting season opens. But it's another way out we're going to do is we've decided that the crew list will be a bit more official, more approved, so to say, by the flag, so you have a better document to present to port state control. Another issue we get is they always want the translation, for example, to their language. And we've also identified that said document can be prepared by the captain, reviewed by the captain, and if necessary, we can also endorse it from our end. So this is the next, where we're going. We're waiting for the summer season to finish to start developing this and issuing it ready for next season. We recently issued, we have issued a CY notice on layup of vessels. Again, it's another grey area. People don't know how many crew to keep on board, how many not to, how to keep it safe. And we're trying to issue guidelines to guide you along, but many times it's specific also to the country you're in, to the port you're in. And so there's also, we're open to you approaching us for proper clarification or even help. Incidents and accidents, this is where we start pointing fingers. We point fingers at ourselves. We believe there's a lot from our end to do. I think we all should be pointing fingers always back to ourselves. But especially this summer, there's been an incredible increase in collisions at sea. The feedback I get, overcrowded bays, everyone wants to be in the same place. But we've also had many cases of collisions that full speed ahead. So this was also very poor seamanship issues, no passage planning. These are things we do come up, and the only reason I mentioned them is because they are recurring. It's not a one-off, it's a recurring situation. And the trend is always in the negative or upwards. And this is not where we're trying to step in now and say, okay, how are we going to deal with it? One is by information, scaremongering. I don't really agree with it. I think we need to find a way to do it properly. These are the challenges we have set on our online people. Fires. Again, I'll be honest, we haven't had many fires on our commercial yachts. It's mostly been on private yachts. But the trend is there, and the trend is working. Walking around, I see everyone with these nice toys, and it's the new challenge. It's lithium batteries, and we've gone with the approach of awareness, but it's actually been negatively taken by the industry, and that was very surprising. We expected more of a proactive approach, and there are smart ways, and there are smart engineers out there who can come up with smart solutions. But it is a very big problem, and it's a reality. We're still working with the awareness, but also by just introducing a new requirement. We do have requirements, but they don't really cover it all. The next step is, again, if you're buying from a certain maker, they should also be supplying you the information on how to prevent a fire and how to take care of it. So there's a lot. There's the electrical connections. There are very poor, many boats I've seen with treated sockets just charging in one. This is all wrong. There should be breakers, there should be temperature monitoring on the battery. Same like we treat our phones with 10-11 care. We don't seem to do it with our touring.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Okay, so I talk a lot. Another thing which is very close to heart with us is injuries. We get very little feedback from operators. We don't get anyone reporting it, and it's we do get it, let's say, from the DOC managed vessels, Regitar, but many yachts don't have it and they don't report, even though it's an obligation as a flag. But it's very important because it does bring change. When we see threats, we can react, but without that information, it would be very difficult for us to react positively. Future trends, it's running a bit, but we're talking to many stakeholders in the industry, and the Malta registry being such a big registry, it's also a big convention vessel. We do find that there's about 20-30 different parts to go greener in the future, and to cover all those parts, it's impossible with a prescriptive regime. So it's very much going to be a risk-based, risk-goal-based approach, and it's going to be very unique to each and every yacht. And it's going to be very interesting to see how engineers can keep up with that. Jumping from yacht to yacht cannot be that simple anymore as it was before. Battery installations we've pretty much spoken. Polar and expeditions, again, we're very strong in our polar and expedition, let's say, convention vessels, and we see the trend coming down into the yachting sector, and more and more and more. And this is something actually we're quite excited about and happy to support. We know we're good at it, we understand it, and we know how to realistically approach such vessels, but that's even more important. A direct, we've spoken about paperless yachts and data, so I can skip that. But another interesting one is gross knowledge. And we have many working groups going on. There's a nice one going on also with Reg, with Seabus. And the reason why I mention it is gross tonnage is a function of your volume, the volume you get to enjoy. But when we're going for greener ships, just use the next slide just to give you an idea. It's, so for example, this is a normal diesel oil fueled vessel. This has a quantity of fueling for diesel. When we start going green, it's all nice, but it starts taking more space for you. Space you want to keep your toys in, your extra boat, an extra cabin. So if we switch to methanol, which is basically a hydrogen carrier for fuel cell vessels, we're almost doubling the capacity required on board. If we go to liquid hydrogen, which is basically pressure vessels or gas stacks, we're going up to 4.5 times the original volume. Batteries, they're pretty, if you need range, you need space. I mean, just to give you a bit of a... But these are the challenges also our builders are facing, designers, concept designers. And now is the time to be there supporting them and finding interesting ways. Gross tonnage, unfortunately, is what's keeping them back from changing. So we're talking about this. I think I've spoken enough. Some
5 minutes, even though it's fascinating. But
yeah, any questions? Or?
Thank you very much, Mauro. Yeah, we have a few minutes. Actually, one comment I would like to make on the environment. I think that you know, the yachting as we knew it has ended 8 months ago. Before the oligarchs, whenever we would get calls at the PYA office from journalists, it would be the Daily Mail, the Sun, you don't take these calls. The general public knew about yachting. They didn't know what it was. The oligarchs have put yachting, professional yachting, in the court of public opinion. And I think, you know, I've done the interviews today and yesterday, an hour ago it was Bloomberg, now we talk to CNN, the BBC. We cannot not answer these people. And very soon, we're gonna, as an industry collectively, we are going to be asked to be as accountable to society as the oil and gas industry and all the other industries. And our license to operate is in the hands of the general public. So I think collectively, we need to really start getting our data together on the positive economic benefit of yachting. And the next thing is that, the environment, sustainable development, what we can do. Sorry to use your time.
No, my pleasure.
Any questions for Mauro?
Just a comment. I was very interested to see that you're making these special arrangements for classic historic yachts and for racing yachts. Because there's a lot of professional crew these days, racing yachts. They kind of slip under the radar. There's not much kind of regulation of them, supervision.
They are recognized by us, and actually one of the green transformation players is now this green product transportation, which is basically soft sailing boats crossing the Atlantic, taking high value engines, for example. That's what racing yachts are coming back in. There's many, and there's many new builds going on. Sail over Malta is taking. So I think there is those opportunities, but we do recognize the
Could I just ask a quick question about the Belgian government issue a certificate of competency for yachts as Master 500, which takes 2 weeks to achieve. The MCA and the Red Ensign group, unless I'm very much mistaken, don't recognise it for that reason. Does Malta?
CCW is not my... Yes.
The answer is you do. Okay.
Yes. The question is why they are allowed to produce certification, not a standard chapter 2, a standard like chapter 7, something like that, special CUC. Why the other administration recognize it and MCA doesn't recognize it?
Sorry, CCW is not my forte. I want to cover the technical.
Yes.
Not us. It's an interesting one. Any other questions?
I had a question on the engineering route, but I don't know if it's something that I can ask, because I know that Transport Malta has finalized the deck route for yachts. All the COCs are now available. And what about engineering? Is like a small vessel route going to come out as
I've
well?
spoken to some of the schools. It seems to be more at the moment focused on merchant navy.
Okay.
So of course those will be eligible. Yes, it will
So
take
for-
longer.
Yeah, so for the moment, it's,
And also ask maritime MT.
I mean, there are discussions ongoing about also with the authority about developing the small vessel engineering, yes, but this will take some time until it's worked in transport water, but the unlimited is available and hopefully will be available even on the private sector from next year.
Thank you. One more question here.
Good day, I'm a naval architect as well. Just wondering which chapters in the Malta commercial yacht code do you think are the most different from the Reg VOISIN, for instance? Which chapters are?
We have, to be honest, we've stopped comparing. This is the second edition. It's a code on itself.
Yeah.
And this is actually, that's why I said that there is a standardization in the industry. It's going to get more difficult for designers and for builders. Because they have many builders who go for the option of offering, let's say, a European flag design or a non-European, and they only choose two flags, but they can't keep up with all the different codes out there. And this is the reality. I know Seabass is very busy right now, but so far that's on the larger yachts. But it is recognized, and we're all in favor of synergizing with each other, but there's a lot of stakeholders in the industry who want to put it out. So yeah, as I have, we do not check or compare. It's got its life alive of itself now.
One question.
I'll just follow up on this because I've actually done that kind of exercise, and it got not what was just mentioned now in this question. MLC and crew qualifications. If MLC had to be standardized between the different flags, it would save up a lot of confusion and crew qualifications. Those are the two main ones that MLC covers in sort of the qualification.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Anyway, you're staying afterwards?
No.
Well, if he's not saying so, you'd better grab him before he
Many more
leaves.
engagements coming up. I'm
But
sorry
what I
about that.
suggest is that we take. Thank you anyway. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And,